Hello everybody, my name is Ruth. I'm here today to talk to you about, is it ever okay to not do Agile? First things first. What do you think, guys?
No! Go back to the...
How dare you not do Agile? Okay. So, my slide with many, many pictures on. This is she. My name's Ruth. I work at giffgaff. I am a Scrum Master and team coach, Agile coach, person who does lots of things. I drink a lot of tea. I talk a lot. You'll probably gather that. I have been at giffgaff for about 14, 16 months now. 15, somewhere in between. And before that, I was at IBM for 5 years. So my experience spans project management, both waterfall and agile, and then I've moved into a Scrum Master role more recently, because I found the light, I know. So who here knows who giffgaff is or what giffgaff is? Yay! That's exciting. Who here is on giffgaff and is one of our members? Say again? Oh, you came to our breakfast brunch. We do breakfast. They're great. You should come down. So giffgaff, for those who don't know, is a member-fueled telco company. We're an MVNO, we're really small. We are owned by O2, which is then owned by Telefonica. They are our parents, and they're quite free-giving parents. They're like, here's some money, go and spend it. It's brilliant. And we have a product-centered organization. So we've got 14 product teams. We do projects as well. For example, we've just moved a bunch of our infrastructure away from a third party to in-house, which went fantastically and we used a burn-up chart wherever Jonathan is. And it actually landed on time, which was great. But these are a couple of the product teams that I look after. So Digital Foundations, who do all of our under softwares and platforms, all that kind of stuff. And then Airtime, who are the team who look after those goodie bags and those top-ups and credits. So if anything's going well and you love it, come meet me after. If it's going wrong, don't. That would be great. So as you probably will know, you'll have had an email today that we're doing a goodie bag refresh. We're doing a double data promo in next week, where I don't even know if I'm allowed to tell you this, where you're going to be getting 40 gigs worth of data for 20 quid. So if you're on 20 quid, you'll automatically get it. If you want it, come and find me and I'll send you a SIM card. And this is a team, we're going to be working overnight to get that done. So giffgaff as a whole runs off of 4 values, quite like Agile, 4 main values. We've got, what's that one? Positivity. Oh God, this is going great. Positivity. We've got curiosity, we've got collaboration, everybody gives a fist pump, and we've got being gritty as well. I don't know why we have this person for our gritty person. His face just looks a bit more constipated than gritty, to be honest, but there you go. So we're also diversifying away from telco as well. So who here's heard of giffgaff game plan? Yay, one more than I was expecting. So I see giffgaff as turning into a bit of a Virgin. You've got lots of different Virgin things that go on out in the market. giffgaff starting that by doing giffgaff game plan. So you can log in with all your banking details. It's super mega secure. It's FCA authorized. And you log in with all your bank details and it looks at where you're spending and then it tells you where you can save or make money. And we've just announced a partnership with Bulb as well, which is a full... What's the word where it's not coal? Help me out here, guys. Renewable, that's the one. Ethical, renewable energy. So go and check that out. I would definitely encourage you to do that. As I mentioned, we're fueled by our members as well. So we have something called giffgaff Labs. So if you go into our community, which is where all of our members help each other out, if you've got a problem, you'll get it answered on average in less than 90 seconds by some of our members. And in Labs, you can submit an idea, a suggestion that you think that giffgaff should do. For example, running payments through PayPal, that was a member idea. Opening game plan, that was a member idea. And we take an agile approach by running experiments, getting things out into the market, doing MVPs, doing false doors, and getting the research back and then implementing things based on the success of them. So let's get actually to what I'm here to talk about. Is it ever okay to not do agile? Some of you lovely people said no. Sorry guys, the answer is yes. you'll be glad to know. Or is it? Dun, dun, dun. I like the laugh, thank you. So let's talk about this for a second. Now, the purpose of this is to encourage conversation. It's to provoke those thoughts. I'm not here to tell you. I'm not here to educate. Please don't shout at me. It's just an opinion. And if you've got any ideas or thoughts, just holler them across politely. Don't really do heckling. I'll start crying. So it's all about the conversation today. So to me, there's a difference between Agile and Agile. You've got big A Agile and little a Agile. And there's a difference between the two. So big A Agile is doing Agile, whereas little a Agile is being Agile. So I follow this guy called Rash Khan, who is an Agile coach. Well, he was an Agile coach when he wrote this blog. He's now some big fancy director at IBM. And he defines the differences as simply adopting the practices without committing to or demonstrating living the Agile principles and values. That's just doing Agile. Whereas being Agile is living and breathing the Agile principles and values through the Agile practices day in, day out. He put the big A's there, not me, just saying. So I interpret this, because everybody interprets everything, right? So to me, doing Agile, you're just following a process. You're just following that habit of what the methodology tells you to do. You're relying on that routine to get you through because it's been there for so long and you're simply doing as you're told. How many people here do an Agile methodology, but actually that backlog you've had no involvement in whatsoever? It's just being given to you to get done. Whereas being Agile is all about those positive behaviors and mindsets, genuinely looking at continuous improvement, and I don't mean doing it after 2 weeks at the end of a retro, but doing it continuously. It's about having trust, courage, empathy to eventually create psychological safety. So I just want to take you back to actually the whole point of Agile. Where did it come from? And ta-da, I show you the Agile Manifesto. So I'm going to focus on the 4 values, because 12 is a bit too many to remember if there's 12 principles, right? I'll put my hands up. I know them vaguely, but I can't read them all off the top of my head. But this is what our mantra is. Everybody in this room who's doing Agile should know what these are. If you don't, go and Google them. This is our ethos. It's what we work by. It is literally the foundation to our movement. So the first one, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Oh, how many times does a conversation just not get put first? How many times when you sat at the opposite side of an office to someone and you just send them a message instead, get up and go and talk to them? And that's a really simple example of putting a tool like Slack in front of an interaction. And it's not saying that processes and tools aren't important, because they are, but you have to put the individuals and the interactions first. And this is also where a lot of the psychological safety comes into it too. How many people in this room actually think that we're putting this first at the minute? Working software over comprehensive documentation. Documentation is useful. We need documentation. More importantly, we need working software. How many people, even though we're working in a sprint, are spending 2/3 of that sprint actually writing the documentation rather than getting the working software out there? How many people are actually doing a sprint and you've got stuff that's ready to release on the first day, but you can't release it until the end because that process and tool is holding you back? Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. I remember being in a situation having to go to a client back at my previous employer and say, hey guys, I know you really hate us already, but you owe us an extra £100,000, please and thank you. Here's the contract. And they were like, what? And because I'm a nice person, I decided to get in front of the table with them and we collaborated on it and we worked together to work out the finances and the discrepancies between the two. And that built our relationship so strong that I think they were more sad that I was leaving than IBM were. How great is that? And also responding to change over following a plan. And as a Scrum Master, I should really, really love Scrum. But I feel like sometimes it can hold us back from this. So at the GAF, we do 2 daily deployments. So sprints just aren't for us anymore because they're going to hold us back. But for some organisations, when it takes you weeks and weeks to deploy because you're not as good as us yet, then, then Scrum works for you. But make sure you don't let that plan and that sprint actually hold you back from being great. Now, if the industry, if our community was actually adhering to these, how they were set out to be adhered to as guidelines and inspiration, we wouldn't be having this whole big A, little a conversation at all. And actually, our forefathers are sad too. They're sad that we're having this conversation. Jeffries has bailed on us already. He said, "I really am coming to think that software developers of all stripes should have no adherence to any agile methods of any kind, as those methods manifest on the ground. They are far too commonly the enemy of good software development rather than its friend." Isn't that, can I get an aw? Thanks. Thought you'd warmed them up, Jonathan. And then Dr. Alistair Coburn has said, "Agile has become overly decorated. Let's scrape away those decorations for a minute and get back to the heart of Agile." Alistair is that sad, he's made it even more simple. He's pulled it back even further than the 4 original values that were pretty simple anyway. So his whole thing of the heart of Agile, what it's all about, with a big A anyway, is just literally collaborate together, deliver that work, reflect on it and improve on it. I would recommend going to have a look at this website, which is literally just search for Heart of Agile. It's really new, it's really inspiring, so go check it out. So, Ruth, I hear you say, what do you think? Thank you for asking. So the difference between doing Agile and being Agile. Going back to what Raj Khan was saying, doing Agile simply is just adopting the stuff without committing to it. Everybody needs to take responsibility, and it goes beyond taking advantage of those predefined methods. They're there to help us get to that high-performing, beautiful, wonderful heaven of a place called technology that we all really want to be in. But it brings some challenges, right? Any kind of Agile needs to be across the entire organisation. It can't just be within IT. Very often you'll find that stakeholders, SLT, C-suite level go, "Oh yeah, you're doing Agile, here you go, just go ahead and do it." They're not doing it themselves. How many people have got shit tons of governance to do when it's just holding us back? It needs to be everywhere. The methodologies that we all buy into, sometimes at great financial cost, are guidelines. They're not rules. You don't have to adhere by them strictly. You've got to do what's right for you, for your work, for your organisation, and for your culture. And following on from that, following a methodology to a T could actually be holding you back. Are you actually being true to these values and principles? And you should be asking yourself that every single day. So what about being Agile then? What does that mean? Living and breathing it day in and day out. You go beyond just trying to put individuals and interactions over processes and tools, and you are nurtured by the organisation and by the culture. And this will give you so many opportunities. You will genuinely, continuously improve. You're not going to be waiting for that retrospective, whether it's 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks between them. You're going to be constantly thinking, how can we do this better? One of my teams got so sick and tired of waiting for retros that now after their stand-up on a morning, they think, well, what can we do differently from yesterday? That's being Agile. The teams actually own their project and their product. They're not just delivery machines. If you just hand a piece of work to a team and expect them to do it with a smile on their face, yeah, you need to have a word with yourself, to be honest. And being Agile will really help you to develop that psychological safety. It's a big term that's going around at the minute, and it really resonates with me, particularly when we're in a mental health state at the minute. You need to build that trust within your team so that they can tell each other when they're doing stuff wrong and praise each other sincerely when they're doing it right. You need to have courage to be able to stand up to people and courage to take risks. You need to have empathy towards each other, and ultimately you have to be safe to fail. You will never learn unless you fail. And you know what? Sometimes it's okay to not do Agile, right? I know some people are like, no, you have to do Agile all the time. It is the be-all and the end-all. Sorry, guys. Some examples that I could think of. If you're in somewhere that has extremely high levels of regulation, it's going to be really damn hard for you to do things quickly, to move fast, to get it out there and to fail. Particularly when the impact of failure outweighs failing fast. I used to work with a pharma client, and we had massive lead times. This goes down to the bottom one. Huge lead times because there were factories involved. There was so much planning on getting manufacturers, getting people in the factory, getting the medicines all right, getting them at the right time, otherwise people could die if they did it wrong. You don't want to fail fast doing that. Well, you do want to fail fast, but you don't want to fail fast where it might end up killing someone. When you know what needs to be done, just do it. Just get it done. If you've got really repetitive work, the Formula One, if you look at a pit stop, they don't go, oh, how should we do it this time? Maybe we should have a planning session, and then maybe we should put story points on which wheel should go on first. No, they don't do that. They know exactly what they need to do. They go out there, 2.5 seconds later, it's done, right? And the exceptionally long lead times I've already touched on. But you should always be agile. And you already are. How many people in here have missed a train or a bus, maybe even a flight if you're really lackadaisical? You will have done that. You don't go home, throw your stuff back in the wardrobe and go, well, that's it, I'm just not going to go there anymore. I'm done. Back to the drawing board. You work it out when you're on the spot. When you're caught in the rain, what do? Just stand there and go, oh shit, I'm getting wet now. No, you go find somewhere dry to stand. It's the behaviour, it's the mindset that makes a difference. So, back to the original questions. Don't worry, I know the pub's upcoming, I'm not going to be long. Is it ever okay to not do Agile? Yeah, of course it is. It's just the way you're working. Use the right tool for the right job, ultimately. Is it ever okay to not be Agile? Not really. You're just going to stagnate. I'll miss a train. I'll get wet. I'll miss a flight. I don't know, something bad will happen. Look at the high street, for goodness sake. How slow are they? And now they've all shut down. It's going to be sad when John Lewis goes. It's really sad. So let's just recap. The whole point of this is to bring everybody back to the Agile Manifesto. Quite frankly, I don't care if it's got a big A or a little a or a different letter on the front of it. Just do these things. Because if you do these things and you abide by these things, and you will get so much more out of your day. So this is my little quote. I'm hoping this will make me famous. So if anybody wants to tweet it or tag me on LinkedIn, you can do. So you can be agile without doing agile, but you can't do agile successfully without being agile itself. And that is it from myself today. Thank you very much.